Here's the Fuso starting grid for race number 7 of the championship. First career pole, Fabian Coulthard. Mark talked about the pressure. There'll be plenty of it. He'll have Lowndes on the outside. Tyre dramas in race 6 for Jamie Whincup. He'll want to make amends on the outside of him. Ford Performance Racing and Pepsi Max, Will Davison. Then his teammate Mark Winterbottom, position number 5 with Garth Tander, Holden Racing Team on the outside. David Reynolds we just spoke to. Jason Bright, he was second in race number 6. And there's the man that they're all focused on here at the moment. What a tremendous win for him in the previous event. Scott McLaughlin, then James Courtney.
Shane Van Gisbergen, 1 spot off the podium last race. Rick Kelly, a former winner here. Lee Holdsworth for Erebus Motorsport has Alex Premer, who'll be looking for a lot more luck this time around. He was right in the thick of it until throttle drama ruled his race out earlier today. James and Jonathan, Moffat and Webb side by side, making up 17 and 18. There's Alex Davison, the Geldwin Ford. Russell Ingall has been in every single race, V8 supercar race that's been held at this circuit, and he has finished every single race that he started in. It's quite an effort. Tony D'Alberto and Todd Kelly, 23 and 24, and there's been a change at the rear of the field with Johnny Reid and Tim Blanchard excluded and sent back there, and also Tim Slade starting from position 27.
Those at home wondering about that exclusion for cars 12 and 17, the Wilson Security Racing Dick Johnson entries. It was for a refuelling infringement on the pit apron within the qualifying sessions. That's the reason they're at the back.
On board now with Lee Holdsworth. Great job in his qualifying performance. Just behind Rick Kelly, 12th and 13th. And we're on board there before with Russell Ingall. I was talking to him a minute ago. He's complaining about that car Bentley. It's very spooky in the fast sections over the bumps. We've also got a camera with Will Davison, who will be starting from 4th position alongside Jamie Whincup. They're good mates. They won't be mates for long when that run goes into turn 2, turn 3. And this young man, who was extraordinary in race 6, what a great win. And as I said before, a career-changing moment for Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, we've had 2 first-time winners this season so far. That man right there is one of them, Fabian Coulthard, and of course Scott. So they become the 67th and 68th men to win an Australian Touring Car Championship V8 supercar race.
And what a tally of winners so far this season. We're only into race 7. We've had 5 individual race winners in the championship. Coulthard, Lowndes, Van Gisbergen, Bright, and now McLaughlin. Great variety.
Look at this downhill parking spot for each of these cars.
So 35 laps, 100 kilometres, no need for a pit stop. High probability of a safety car.
Spreading up now, mate.
As Neil mentioned earlier, average speed 168 k's around here, the 3rd fastest circuit we've got. So Fabian Coulthard, for the first time in his career, starts from pole position. He's gone early. Either he's gone early or everybody's missed it. We've got yellow flags down the back. Lee Holdsworth is stuck with nowhere to go, and thankfully everybody missed him.
There's something very weird about that.
There was a clutch drama. He's been on the radio already. There was a very scrappy start. They all got confused by the flinch of Fabian Coulthard.
I'll let him run it out down here along the back straight before we hear exactly what went on. And Shane Van Gisbergen is caught in the mid-pack there and looking rather dangerous. He's alongside Scott McLaughlin on the outside of James Courtney.
It's actually Lee Holdsworth I heard on the radio talking about his clutch. A little bit of hip and shoulder here. Garth Tander on the receiving end.
Around turn 8, the hairpin. And still Van Gisbergen wants to stick it out wide. So Coulthard leads them around first time around. Lowndes is behind him. Whincup is 3rd. Up over the rise they come. There's Will Davison, Garth Tander, Mark Winterbottom, David Reynolds, Jason Bright. So one of the more unusual starts you'll see in V8 supercar racing, and it's already been confirmed. A false start for Fabian Coulthard. It's been confirmed, 10-second penalty added to his race time.
Great driving from all of those guys there, especially Dean Fiore. Watch this. This is called the totally moved. It's fried the clutch and it's moved off the line without too much driver input in that one. Just take a look at this. This is from Whincup. That's the car. It's already taken off. It's not a jump start. It's miles in front of the line in terms of the light going out. But those guys behind Lee Holdsworth did a remarkable job not to run straight into the back. And there's a change in the order there also. Whincup by Craig Lowndes. So Whincup will be your effective leader from Lowndes, Davison, Tander, Winterbottom, Reynolds, Bright, Courtney, Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin. That will be your top 10.
So the standard jump start penalty is mentioned in the further regulations, the supplementary regulations for the event. 10 seconds added to the race time of Fabian Coulthard. That's the standard protocol.
Which, if that penalty was applied right now, would put him down in 24th position. That won't be as bad as this race transpires. It'll end up being something like, again, it'll depend on how close the rest of the race is run and if there's a safety car through it, but it'll probably put him back in 10th or 11th.
Yeah, if you grab a 10-point spread out of the results of race 6, that's exactly where it'll be, Scafie. So Fabian Coulthard, 10-second penalty hanging over his head.
Here's the pass.
Whincup on Lowndes.
So nice job down the inside at the hairpin. Probably caught Craig by surprise. Just dived to the apex. Here it is again from on board with Jamie. Listen to this.
Good pass. Very good pass. And as you said, Neil, that would have caught Craig by surprise. And they're the sorts of passes early in races that make big differences to how the championship unfolds. That was a very spontaneous, opportunistic pass, and down the inside of Lowndes he went.
One of those Nissan Altimas looked like it had bumper damage too when we were back in the pack there at the end of the back straight. We're riding here now with Scott McLaughlin, winner of race 6. He's in 11th. He's behind Van Gisbergen just up there in the VIP Pet Foods Holden Commodore, and he's got Rick Kelly just behind. So again, the Nissan's firing along quite nicely. Rick's in 12th, Caruso's 13th, Moffat is 18th, Todd Kelly is 22nd. That's the 4 Nissans.
Oh, there's a little crisscross happening down there.
Big lock up for
Tander up the inside. That's on Winterbottom. So they've been having a pretty healthy exchange from the previous lap.
Just see if we can get to the bottom of this Fabian Coulthard start. Hey, Bradley, sorry to interrupt, mate. We all know how easy it is to overheat a clutch on the start line. You think that was the drama?
Yeah, or maybe not enough brake pressure at the start, so it's very frustrating. But look, I think if we get a green race, clearly the car is fast, and we just need to, make every post a winner and try and get that 10-second gap and move him as far up the field as we can.
Got to quickly ask you, is Fabian aware of the penalty?
Oh yeah, I think everyone's aware of the penalty. He knew what happened.
Been told.
Yeah, we told him what he was going to get, so he knows, and we're just being really calm in the way we delivered everything to him. And we've talked about this stuff before. He knows what to do, and he'll get it done.
All right, thanks, Brad.
I know, no one.
The other thing we need to keep an eye on is whether or not there's a flat spot on that front right tyre of Mark Winterbottom. When he was in that battle with Garth Tander before, it was a big lock-up and the run in here to turn 8. So he'll perhaps have to nurse that. He's got a little gap here over Garth at the moment. In fact, I heard in the background then someone else also locking an inside front into that hairpin. It's very easy to do. Fastest man on the racetrack at the moment is Jamie Whincup. It's half a second behind Fabian Coulthard.
It's been the curse of the pole sitter here. It happened to Whincup in the previous race on lap 1, and this time around, the black mark next to the pole sitter's name before he even got away, or just as he got away.
Which goes to those stats we mentioned before race 6, that for some obscure reason, usually it's the other way around, typically the pole setter's got a terrific advantage at the majority of racetracks, but for here, the conversion from pole to race win is about 18% prior to race 6. So it's weird, very strange, because normally everywhere you go in this category, in these types of cars, you start in the front row of the grid on the inside in the ideal line. You've got a pretty good head start.
So Whincup, who led in the previous race and had a tyre failure on the opening lap, great qualifying performance, is effectively going to lead this race and has not won a race this year so far for the champion of last year. And a very big moment for him now to try to get away with the rest of this race, Matt.
He hasn't won one since Winton last year. Of course, he won the championship and he leads this championship. Spectacular pictures here through turns 9 and up to 10. The car's getting massively unsettled. It'll be unsettling for Fabian Coulthard. He leads the way. He's got to make up lots of time.
So we go on board here with Will Davison coming out of turn 4.
Have a think about the bars of fire, mate.
So just a little reminder to him from Grant McPherson, just to have a think about the brake bias, how much percentage of front brake versus rear brake. And the bars he makes reference to are the anti-roll bars on the front and the rear of the car. As the name implies, it changes the roll rate in the car, and it's become the only on-the-run adjustable device that the driver can play with now that we've changed the rear end in the cars in the new rules set. Those pit stops where we saw a lot of rear roll centre changes, as it was described, have all gone away in the new championship season. It's a fabulous run, this run through turn 11 and 12. Just a little fan of the throttle to get the nose planted, sometimes a little touch of the brake, then peel off to the right, wait for the car to settle and try and pick the right moment to advance it again to 100% throttle. Then there's that big step in the road on the surface change and the run into one here. Back to second gear for this right-hander at turn 4. Then it's building speed again up to around 255 kilometres an hour, depending on fuel load, wind, tyre condition and traffic. But now the approach to turn 5 is done with that little kink in the road, so it's just a slight diversion to the right. It's very, very easy to lock the inside front wheel and therefore damage that front right Dunlop tyre. Fastest man on the racetrack and the lap record holder, by the way, is Mark Winterbottom. He's just done a 1 minute 3.8, and after that pit stop in race number 6, he had new boots on the car and he went out and set a brand new lap record. So Winterbottom's the man whose name's in the book as far as this new racetrack is concerned. It's Coulthard by 0.4.
Got everything covered on the ITM 400 Auckland mega wall. Typical nerves in pit lane in this early part of the race. On board there with Will Davison, bottom right. Race control yet to be activated, aside from handing out a penalty, which puts Fabian Coulthard in the unique position of leading the race but needing to make up time.
Guys, here's an interesting thing, and we talked about it last weekend in Tasmania, but if ever that you could underscore the importance of qualifying, just take a look at where Scott McLaughlin and Jason Bright sit in the field. Remember, they were the guys at the top of the pop charts in the last race. Bright's 8th, McLaughlin's 11th. So there's the data from the car. Let's go for a wild ride around Pukekohe. It's short and sharp. Hang on to your seat. Great ride. Love the big bumps between turns 10 and 11. So we're looking rearward from Will Davison's car. He's 4th. That's his teammate Mark Winterbottom. And is another wild view of the boys in turn 1. It's great, isn't it?
So you learn a few things from that onboard ride, don't you? It's wickedly fast. There's absolutely no let-up. That's the incredible thing. Like you mentioned before, what is it, about 3 or 4 seconds down the back straight where you've got time to think and gather your thoughts, and then you're back into it again, riding the wild Bronco.
Now for Whincup here, there's a consideration. He's got a margin over Lowndes, who's a buffer for him. He doesn't need to go too crazy, but I'm sure he wants to be in front of Fabian. So how much does he push? How hard does he force the point? Because there's a risk of locking a brake, damaging a tyre, even making panel contact. That'll all be swimming through his mind at the moment, but he'll be acutely aware of the fact that he'd like to be the first man home. That's what drivers like
and
Jamie want to do.
Isn't it? Because when you get close, then you start to hurt the brake temperature, the engine temperature, all the things. So at the moment, with that 10-second penalty that Coulthard's got, Fabian followers, he would be right now 13th. So it's already come up through the field in terms of their speed. But your point, Neil, is really valid.
Now,
what happens with Whincup? There's a lot of angst between these two blokes at the moment.
Mark Winterbottom just on the radio. I'm going to have a dive at him. So you can see he's just threading the nose around at the moment. When we were riding on board with Will before, you could tell by the way that Mark was positioning his car that he's looking for an opportunity. So he signalled to his crew that he's going to have a lunge here. He's got to try and find a clean gap. He's not actually quite close enough at the moment. Whincup, meantime, is now on the rear bumper of Coulthard. And Bright's up the inside of David Reynolds. They're back at 8. And he's actually moved up, I think, into position 7 as a result. No, got him back. Davey got him back again. So on the acceleration run out of the corner, the Botlow driver has managed to grab it back from him. So that was a great exchange between those two.
That was a crazy move. Look at Winterbottom down through turn 1. That's where he's been the closest to Will.
It gives you a great overview of the circuit down there from the crane. This is like, I think we mentioned it all weekend, it's like Sandown, where it's a combination of horse racing complex together with the racetrack, just as it was at Warwick Farm in Sydney in the old days. In that Tasman series that we spoke about in V8 Extra, where the boys used to come down from Europe and escape the winter, play in the sunshine with their racing games. And it's got a lovely feel about it with the old grandstand here. Lots of green grass.
We're looking back from Dave Reynolds' car. Little brake lock up. You can just see that blue smoke. He missed the apex a little bit, ran a little bit wide. That's Jason Bright. Did such a great job in the previous race. Look at that bump, how much it unsettles it. It actually made Bright run wide that time. So Davison's moved up a little bit on Lowndes. And that's the pack that we were just with. Reynolds, Bright, Van Gisbergen, Courtney.
So the first Nissan is still Rick Kelly, 12th. Caruso, 14th. Moffat, 17th. Todd Kelly, 22nd. And where's the first Benz at the moment?
They were really impacted by Holdsworth's start, weren't they?
Yeah, big time, because of the slipping clutch, which is cooled down but dropped him. But so yeah, Engel at 21st at the moment.
So single file, car 360 of James Moffat. So that's 17, 18 and 19 and 20 you're looking at there from Moffat back to Dean Fiore. Russell Ingall behind James and Alex Davison behind him, and more dramas for the heavy haulage Australia Mercedes of Tim Slade. He's taken some grass with him.
Oh, this is in a bad spot.
Safety car.
On the approach to turn 3, and he's right in the middle of the road, and he's dragged a heap of debris on there with him. Now that, if they can't move that, there we go.
They're going to have to slow these boys up.
Got a car stop turn 3.
Oh.
Leader approaching and a lot of gravel on the road. Just hold.
We need another shot because they're all arriving very, very fast. They need to be conscious of the yellow flags there. That is very, very dangerous.
So Tim Slade stuck with nowhere to go. The safety car has been deployed. That doesn't do Fabian Coulthard any favours. He's got a 10-second penalty that he needs to make up. And Jamie Whincup will effectively be in control of the race. So Tim Slade, victim down there at turn 3.
Will hold at pit exit. They think your safety car.
And the Petters safety car is just holding there at pit exit. So full course yellows.
The car has taken off. It'll pick you up around turn 2, I'd say.
And here comes the field.
Have a drink, have a breathe. As soon as you're up behind, you can maintain the 5 car lengths. Any tyre warming you want, brake warming laterally, longitudinally, and then remember the new restart. I will remind you when it gets closer.
It's marked up and just letting Jamie Whincup know of the procedure he's well aware of course. grass and dirt on the track down there, so that car 47 back in pit lane.
So for Fabian Coulthard, this is a disaster. He just forged his way from basically last right through to, he was going to be at that point just after Scott McLaughlin in 12th position before the safety car was deployed. And now this will put him right back where he was. When the field bunches up, you add 10 seconds to his race time, and he'll be way back. He'll be 22nd or 23rd probably by the time the restart happens. So the New Zealand Fabian Coulthard followers, this is not good.
Well, it makes the Giz the leading Kiwi contender. As it stands now, he's in 9th. Scott McLaughlin is in 11th. And Johnny Reid in 24th. The Petter's safety car. The STP Chrysler is still out there and circulating in front of the field with Tim Slade's Erebus Motorsport Mercedes back through pit lane. So some interesting scenarios to play out here. Just a recap for you. Remember, Fabian Coulthard started this race from pole position, but it was a false start. He jumped so early, it was crystal clear. He has a 10-second penalty to be applied at the end of this race. So before the safety car came out, he was leading the field. His job is to make up as much time as he can to limit the damage, if you like. The big question is, how much will this hurt him? Well, it's going to really hurt him because it bunches the field. Does Jamie Whincup take the opportunity early to have a dive?
Matty, down here in the Ford Performance Racing Garage, and I think it's appropriate we grab a chat with Tim Edwards, the team principal down here at this point in time. Hey, Tim, 3 cars in the top 10, so that's great. Unfortunately, 2 of them are climbing over the top of each other. I don't think you do the multi-21 thing here. So, mate, tell us about driver contracts in this sort of situation. I mean, this early in the championship, guys free to race as long as they don't bash into each other?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I trust them both. You know, they're both going to drive hard. I know that, but, you know, they know I won't be too happy if it all goes wrong. So I think, you know, Frosty's probably got a bit more pace on Will at the moment, but we'll see what happens. I think this has brought them all back together again. So Garth and Reynolds are right on their bumper. So
it's a funny old dynamic, isn't it? Because we see it a lot in our game, and you've been in enough debriefs on Monday morning to have to deal with all of this sort of stuff. So you must hate these little moments.
Monday morning, I suspect in about an hour's time, I'll have one frustrated driver and one happy driver up and out of the car.
Well said. Well, and the other funny one, just if you can swing around, Dave, the engineers here. So he's James Small and he's Grant McPherson. Those guys, they're good buddies, don't worry about that, but I can tell you at the moment they're not exactly great buddies. So what happens out in the cars is also happening down here in the garage.
Hey guys, Tim Slade back in the garage at Erebus, and you can see there's a bit of work going on around the rear of the car at the moment. He reported earlier on that he thought he had a tyre that had deflated or flat spotted. They came in, changed the tyre, he's still got the problem. So Dave Stewart and his team are just going over the car at the moment.
Okay, mate, thank you. So 26 cars are out there. Remember, Scott Pye and the Ecole Commodore did not make the starting grid for this event after that huge crash in Tasmania.
What's going on with Whincup there with the gap? We're supposed to keep the 5 car lengths, so it needs to be organised. I don't understand that at all. That is a very, very bad restart from a lot of guys. From Davison behind Lowndes, by Whincup to Coulthard, that is a shocking restart.
That's played a little bit back to Fabian because he needs to rebuild that margin. It all went away when the field bunched up under the safety car, and so straight away he gets a free kick, so that helps him straight away in the first couple of 100 metres.
I don't understand at all. Doesn't make any sense to have those gaps at a restart.
Well, it's also allowed Craig Lowndes to put pressure on his teammate Whincup. And vice versa for the FPR cars, and here comes Mark Winterbottom on the inside at turn 5. He has to take a lot of the curb. They don't touch. Davison holds position on the switch.
This will light the radio up.
Oh, there's a bit of blocking there too. Bit of cover, and Dave Reynolds spears down the inside of Tander. They've had some history with some bumping and rubbing over the last 12 months. So Tander on the inside. Now watch for Reynolds, because he's staying the outside tour. He stays there. Great driving, and that was McLaughlin, wasn't it? Someone died there. Sorry, it was Bright. Wow.
And Bright, remember, together with, look at Van Gisbergen down the inside. He's virtually in the grass, and Courtney runs with them. Bright's out wide in no man's land. He's going to spin. He's off the road, Bright, and round goes Courtney. He clobbers one of the Fujitsu cars as well, and on it goes. Wow.
That's not McLaughlin. So McLaughlin caught up in all of that mess.
So Bright ended up in the wide stuff down there. There's no grip, and the thing just threw itself sideways. I knew he was in strife. And now Winterbottom down the inside with Davison. He tries to squeeze.
Again, exactly the same again. Tander gets all loose and into the dirt. 5 versus 6. It's kicked off a battle right throughout the field. Restart fever.
You got an interesting one here.
Has happened again, and we've got yellow flags.
Was half next to me. He didn't actually make the move. Now he's trying to take the position, so I don't know, it's up to someone else. I'm not going to sit here and fight with him, but he hadn't actually completed the passing move, so you tell me what to do.
It's Will Davison's voice. Courtney buried in the kitty litter, and a little bit of angst at Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. Mark Larkham spoke to Tim Edwards about it. He said, forget about Monday morning debrief. I reckon it'll be on earlier than that. I reckon you're right, Tim.
That was very, very fast.
Well, it all started with the Davis and Winterbottom battle. There was an invitation then for Reynolds to get up the inside of turn 8. Then Tander got at Reynolds, and then it triggered a big traffic jam off the final corner. Gizzy down the inside. It shoved Bright out high and wide. Courtney went underneath. Now Jason Bright is out in the weeds here, and he was in fact touched. Courtney touched him on the dirty line out there, and there was no coming back for that for Jason Bright.
But it spun both, because Bright was able to go wide. That bump at the front has upset Courtney and turned the HRT car around at the same time. So normally the guy in front would spin. Wow. That's play for keeps.
I think we need a breather. Take a quick one, bring you straight back to Pukekohe. It just takes a moment to sink it all in, doesn't it? And try and decipher exactly what's gone on in the last few minutes. We know this much. James Courtney's done and dusted. Scott McLaughlin's down the back of the field now in 25th position. Fabian Coulthard is still the race leader.
And can't take a trick, because every time he builds a margin, someone slices it back off him.
Out of control.
And here's the umpire, Tim Edwards.
Just clean air while you can, please.
I'd rather be at the UN than that.
Trying to separate the warring nations at cars 5 and 6. And Matt Nilsson is the supervising engineer. He's sitting in the middle, and he'll be trying very hard to not look sideways at either. There he is. There's Teco.
Switzerland. That's what he's
that's right. He's
right
Switzerland.
now.
A bit of commotion going on in the garage in there. They're showing them on the big screen. Game faces on.
It was interesting to listen to Will Davison's chat back, asking for clarification. He said, I'm not going to sit here and fight him on the track. You tell me what to do.
Well, because the safety car had been deployed, he was trying to query at that, when did that happen and at what moment, because you have to redress that if you've passed incorrectly.
Well, it's all on here at Pukekohe as the field tries to settle down. Well, the safety car's doing that right now, but there's a few things at play here. Okay, James Courtney's out. Let's take a look at this replay as they come back onto the straight. already a bit going on by this stage. Now watch car 22. James Courtney gets affected by the bump and tags Bright. So Bright, Courtney, Van Gisbergen go off. Scott McLaughlin's hung out wide and wouldn't have expected the check from the flying 22 car that had no control.
Look at that lunacy out there.
Well, Van Gisbergen held it, but just slid right off the racetrack at massive speed, 200 kilometres an hour. Here's another angle.
Great save by Jason Bright. That was a very, very good bit of driving to save that. A restart now for Coulthard. Remember, a 10-second penalty still to be applied.
And cars 55 and 2 have been asked by race control to reverse their positions.
But that didn't happen. That we checked that then in the replay. So Dave Reynolds was in front of Tander before the safety car. The race officials have ensured that's the case at the restart. So Whincup in behind with the two FPR guys. There's plenty of drama to play out there.
But we haven't even mentioned them yet. In the ad break, it's been all going on in the FPR bunker. Will Davison and Mark Winterbottom effectively sparked all of that trouble with their little battle. Right here it was.
And Winterbottom is now. Oh, and off the road goes Lowndes. Unbelievable. So under pressure, Lowndes understeers wide, and that was about as close as you get to a dangerous re-entry.
He goes from 3rd to 11th, Craig Lowndes, and there'll still be a few waiting to pick him off.
Oh, here we go, it's on. So Tander forces Reynolds wide out of the hairpin. We saw them on the previous lap. They got round there together. And I don't think that story's over because Reynolds will want to square up there.
Gee, they've gone crazy in this one, haven't they? There's so much going on. It's going to be a long, hard night for the judiciary.
Tim Slade's just exiting pit lane to rejoin the race.
Whincup is all over Coulthard. He's probably going to position for a run into turn 5 this time. He's very, very close at 4. He's certainly determined to try and sneak by.
So Rick Kelly up to 9th position. Great news for Nissan.
So remember that Winterbottom has now cleared Davison. He's got pace because Coulthard's effectively holding Whincup at the moment. That's allowing the Pepsi Max car to get closer, but no. Whincup down the inside. This is for the race lead, remember. Oh, it may not be done yet. Fabian's got the inside running at 10.
That leaves Jamie Whincup in the same spot that David Reynolds was a few laps back, but he threads it through. Unbelievably so.
Wow, that's brave. And the run that now Winterbottom's got on them. And this is a healthy battle at the front. That is unbelievable. To drive around the outside at turn 10, across the bump, make it up the inside, not make contact. And now Coulthard is vulnerable here. This is the mistake from Lowndes. We don't often see this. He's made a couple of pretty big blues there today. And when he goes back on, you see Rick Kelly flicks back to the inside. He did a very good job. So Fabian under pressure now from Winterbottom. He'll be trying to set him up down to the hairpin.
And it came at the right time for Whincup because if he hadn't got a wriggle on, he would have been attacked by Winterbottom. So watch Frosty to have the dive. He thought about it, couldn't get it done. And Fabian was just far enough to the right to cover. But now the bottleneck begins again because Winterbottom, Davison and that next gang are all bunching up under the back of Coulthard's wing at the moment, who still carries the halo of this 10-second penalty over him. It'll be a breather that Whincup needs to settle his car down and go easy on those tyres. We've actually seen more lap speed and tyre degradation on these harder tyres later in the race than we expected, but the safety car interventions will have given the tyres a reprieve, but they are hurting a little bit here late in the run.
Look at this. This is unbelievable. That's 5th gear. They are. It's so talented to get those two cars in and around there without making contact, Neil.
Yeah, top marks for both the boys there because they didn't play dirty. They got through there side by side. It was a tremendous performance by both drivers, both Whincup and Coulthard, to pull that off at turns 10 and 11.
Jamie Whincup is taking advantage of the fact that Fabian Coulthard is between him and Mark Winterbottom. That helps Whincup. He'll be happy to see Coulthard in his rear vision mirror for the rest of the race because Winterbottom can go blow for blow with him in terms of track speed. He's got to get around car 14 before he can have a crack at Whincup. So the gap this time around is 0.7 of a second. A 104.0 for Whincup, 104.2 for Coulthard, and a 104.4 for Winterbottom.
And because of this bunching of the field on 2 occasions, there's James Courtney, the long walk back to the pit lane. A 10-second penalty for Coulthard at the moment would put him back in 21st position.
So, can you believe it? Whincup, last year's series champion, hasn't won a race this year. Finally gets by and got a little bit of clear air now to Coulthard, who's got that 10-second penalty, as we said. So, Winterbottom is your effective man in second place from Davison, Tander, Reynolds, Bright, Van Gisbergen, Kelly, Prema, top 10. And
Russell on the inside of Craig Lowndes. Oh, Alex Davison tried to go with him, but David Wall was onto that one. Lowndes may hold this position here. This is so brave.
Lowndes is struggling, isn't he? And these 2 guys on screen are 2 of the 5 drivers that have been here for all of the championship races. Plus, in the case of Russell Ingall, he was also here in '96, the exhibition race when 12 of the cars were brought over here. So they know what it's like to race here. The whole side-by-side act at the last 2 corners.
That would have had disastrous consequences then if Davison fired down the inside of Wall there. And Frosty's just got to get a better run onto the back straight because he's not close enough at the braking area for turn 5. Comes out of there nice, out of 6. You see that elevation on the road and the way that the guys use every little bit of road there. He almost again had a little look. Dave Reynolds now right up in behind Tander. Actually missed the gear change out of the hairpin there, and he's vulnerable now to Jason Bright.
And despite Coulthard going back in the pack when the official results are published, this is a vital test session for them. What they will be concerned about, Brad Jones Racing in the Lockwood car, is the fact that they don't have the race pace of Whincup. So this is a vital test session for them to understand where they're at competitively. And clearly, Red Bull Racing Australia and Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing have made steps with both their cars in these recent races. They're now starting to match these guys that got away from them early in the year.
That's exactly right. So that would now position Fabian in 14th, just in front of Russell Ingall. The gap back to Russell Ingall is 10.58 seconds. So at the moment, he would be relegated further back down the field, as we just said. So this is a pretty good battle because, just as you said before, Winterbottom with a good dive, and he turns it in early. It locked the rear brakes, but he got in and around there, and Fabian's going to bat on with it. Again, we've said about this, he's just breathed out of the throttle. That's a smart move. You don't need to get involved in driving around the outside if you don't have to. And a nice position change there from Mark Winterbottom.
He had a big check up there.
Yeah.
Fabian had to really recover that slide right in the middle of that corner and see the margin he lost. It actually put him right back in touch with Will.
So with 7 laps remaining, now we get to see exactly what Mark Winterbottom has to offer in terms of reeling in Jamie Whincup, who's 1.7 seconds clear.
James Courtney just walking back to garage, mate, just from where we were watching, that was wild.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened up front, but something happened coming out of the last corner, so they all bunched up and went down the inside behind Shane, and Bridie just come carving across the back of him, and I couldn't disappear. So we touched, and in the end, I think I'm the one that came off worse. So it's disappointing. The car was better in the second race than what we had in the first one. So let's see what happens.
Good luck tomorrow, mate.
Cheers.
It's a very good point James Courtney made there. Now, normally it's pretty incriminating if you run into the back of another car at that point. But he was down there. Jason Bright, we've spoken about visibility before. Jason Bright wouldn't have known he was there, so he did turn in on him. You can't hang the car off skyhooks. He's actually got to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And then in the end, they made contact. So no one wants to make contact going that fast. Both parties fairly, in terms of deliberate actions, I think quite innocent in this one.
Courtney be frustrated because he's been off to a good point start in the championship. He came in here this weekend in 3rd. It's been the best series start for him in a little while. That momentum is really important to maintain in the early races. There's Tony D'Alberto in the high flex entry. He's just tucked up in the middle of this pack at the moment. Spoke to him a little earlier. He's behind Todd Kelly in the Jack Daniels entry. And the 2 Wilson security cars are next from Dick Johnson Racing, and they started off the rear of the grid, so they've come up the order slightly as well. Hard to imagine that the battle could be so vigorous, and these guys are battling for 20, 21, 22, 23.
That's a really good performance. Just behind Van Gisbergen, you can see Rick Kelly there, who's having a bit of a battle with Prema, who's been very competitive all weekend, but that is the highest position we've seen in the championship races. Moffat was very competitive at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, so this would be the highest championship finishing position for one of those cars, excluding what happened at the Grand Prix. So for Rick to be in the 10's a ripper. There he is.
Just been watching the timing last time around at the front, and Jamie Whincup was into the 104s, where Winterbottom dipped it into the high 103s, and the net result is with 5 full laps remaining, it's an 0.8 of a second gap between first and second.
And while we're on numbers and positions, Coulthard, who's now third, penalty applied at this moment would put him back about where Lowndes is, back around 15th. So that'll give you an idea as the field begins to settle and spread once again.
So that means that Will Davison is in effective third, so he's looking at a podium. I mentioned earlier, Ford has only won one of the 22 V8 Supercar Championship races held at this circuit. It was 2004. And Frosty's got 5 laps, or 4 full laps now, to change that piece of history around. He's got it down to 7/10, 6/10.
And the men that are first and second in the race both suffered from tyre problems in race 6. So they'll be acutely aware at the moment of making sure that they don't end up with the car positioned awkwardly. We think it's on this exit curve at turn 4.
He's really coming at him. He's really coming at him.
Big time. 0.6 is the margin. There's Bright, after touring the green stuff at high speed and getting away with it, which is extraordinary.
How was the car control of Van Gisbergen and Bright when they went down through there? They would have been about 210 kilometres an hour arrowing down through the grass. Look at this. This is really closed up.
So they've dropped Fabian Coulthard there and Will Davison in terms of track space. And it's a battle to the end for these two guys. Frosty hasn't won a race this year. His last victory came at Phillip Island last year.
And that was early in the season too, wasn't it?
That's right.
Rear bar down, 1 click for more drive.
So Mark Dutton's responding in the ears of Jamie Whincup. He knows that may have a little balance issues, just hurting its rear tyres, so he's trying to get him to trim the car to respond a little better, be a little easier on its rears. But you're right, he's on him now. And it's interesting because I reckon Whincup would have had to use more of everything, tyres and brakes, in that little battle to clear Coulthard. That's now hurt him. And when he got past, I said that was timely, because if he hadn't, he would have been swamped by the man chasing him at the moment, who was clearly very, very quick.
And these are the sorts of things now that Frosty's got to do. When you get to this point, you've got to go on with it. He's got to have a dive at him. He's very, very fast. We often say his qualifying performances, etc., are very good, but there's just too much of the racing stuff that impacts his overall performance. And now he's worked very, very hard. He's only 3 or 4 tenths of a second behind, and you've just got to make this work now. So fast, isn't it? It's just a great racetrack.
It's like Jamie's responded a bit. He did a 64.2 this time, but he's wide at 1. 64.1 for Winterbottom, taking a 10th out of him, but he has responded. Whincup, he's picked the pace up slightly.
And Winterbottom looks as though this will be the lap where if he's close enough, he'll be aggressive.
Good exit.
Great exit.
Watch him at 5. He had a shallower exit line. He was in the power harder earlier. He'll have a look. Jamie will know it. He'll sense the colours. He'll see him in the mirrors. And he's right on the braking limit, Whincup. There's nothing left under brakes with that car. And in fact, he's sliding through 5. And Mark Winterbottom will have a perfect bird's eye view of that. You'll see the oversteer in the preceding car. And he'll be thinking right now where he can best pull a surgical move. And he's running out of laps. He's got to press hard.
And what Winterbottom will be thinking of is the previous race meeting when Coulthard dived him at the end. He needs to throw this car down the inside of Whincup at 5 or into the hairpin at 8. And he's got a good run here. You can't make the move, but you've got to be close when you come out of 4. This is fantastic. Last lap.
And it's a classic Holden versus Ford battle.
And he'll be lamenting getting tangled up with his teammate, Mark Winterbottom.
It's at round turn 4. Whincup.
So here comes an opportunity. He's got it, and Jamie knows it. He covers. Can only move once in the rules if he wants to cover. So there's one opportunity here, and Frosty takes it down the inside. He's on the dirty line. They're both at the breaking limit. Contact, and around goes Winterbottom. Whincup tours the paddock. Disaster at the front of the race. Whincup gets back on.
Well, he had a big dive. We said he had to have a go. He locked the rear wheels. He speared into the side. He was down the dirty side of the road. And this has had an unbelievable impact on Mark Winterbottom's performance.
But at the end of it, Jamie Whincup will limp home. Big contact on the final lap.
Right, brother, great drive. Yeah, right with that, mate. He's certainly better.
And his first win of season 2013. Here comes the defending champ again. An unbelievable finish.
Right, mate, great drive, mate, great drive. Good stuff for holding your line, mate. Not putting up with that shit.
It's also the first time that Jamie has won at this circuit. Now, Fabian Coulthard has crossed the line in second, but he will cop a 10-second penalty. So that means Will Davison and Garth Tander will be on the podium.
And that will put Fabian back around 11th or 12th, somewhere in that area, Matt, when the numbers are crunched.
Rick Kelly will go up to 7th too as a consequence.
So the provisional results, well, Whincup on top. As I mentioned, the actual podium will be Davison and Tander with him. Then Bryant Reynolds, Shane Van Gisbergen, the leading Kiwi effectively with Fabian's penalty to put him into about, or just where Jonathan Webb is, or just behind. So in terms of the Nissans, it was Rick Kelly who finished 7th. So that's the best performance, the first top 10 performance for the Nissan Altima in season 2013.
Oh, those wheels were locked way before the corner. And you've got to give him credit for having a go at this. You've got to say, hey, you've got to get on with it. He had the wheels locked. This is on board with Whincup. Bang! Into the side. Whincup got away with it. He come across the road. Whincup didn't do anything wrong. And it is nothing. You make decisions in this sport, you ride the mistake. And that there is as good as you can do to try to make an overtaking move to win this race.
So I can tell you they have adjusted the timing, and it puts Fabian Coulthard in 10th spot. So Jamie Whincup, 65th career win. Will Davison and Garth Tander on the podium. What a weird race. He really wanted this one. The damage to the side door, the driver's door.
Warranty claim.
I know where the bill's going.
What a sigh of relief for Jamie.
Jamie Whincup, wow, what a final few laps of that race. How was your heart going when Mark Winterbottom dived down underneath?
Hey, Mark was quick, but hey, we knew we had track position, so we fought it out. But bit of a dent in the door there. I didn't start that way. I'm not sure how it got there.
Nice to get that race win.
Yeah, finally got a race win, which is good. Everyone's been asking me during the week when are you going to win one, so I'm very, very happy to get our first win for the year.
Ticked a big box today, Jamie. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, Brett. Cheers.
Will Davison, wow. Congratulations, Will. Some early jostling with a teammate out there, but it all turned out okay for you.
I did, yeah. Listen, I'm just trying to keep scoring points. We're still trying to understand this car, but obviously great to be back on the podium. And, yeah, it was an interesting moment there with Frosty. He was super quick. He's real disappointing for the team not to have both of us up here. There was a bit of a issue under safety car. He'd passed me when the safety car came out, so it was line ball. So, listen, it's a great result for me.
Well done on second place, Will. Congratulations.
Cheers, thanks.
And Garth Tander back on the podium. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Just snuck on there at the end there, but we'll take that. We had really good speed in that one. The car was actually better in that race. So great job by the boys. We've been struggling on the bumps here this weekend, but it seems better in race pace. So try again tomorrow.
You pick up some valuable championship points, GT. Enjoy the podium.
Thanks. Hi, Scarlett. Hi, Sebastian.
Well, Mark Winterbottom, actually, I don't think you should be too hard on yourself, mate. I was standing here with your team, and everyone wanted you to have a crack at Jamie, and you had a crack, mate, and you did that, and I think you got to live by that. So be it.
Yeah, that's how you got to win races, so I'm not going to stop there. But, yeah, just pinch the rear just at that last minute, and that obviously sends you sideways. But, It shows we're pretty hungry to get a win, so car's very good, just got to use the pace, so hopefully tomorrow we get that win, but got to have a go.
I think it was good, mate. We're just looking at the overlay now. Could you sense those last couple of laps looking at Jamie started to look like he was a little vulnerable and you were setting yourself up for that move? No question about it.
Yeah, I had a good run on him and he was wobbling around a little bit, so he was desperate to win his first race of the year too. I think he was feeling a little bit of pressure, so I tried to have a go, but it spun and then I couldn't start it, so I lost a heap of spots. So, but yeah, I thought I was in. I'll try again tomorrow.
Well, I reckon the really good thing is because the next time you see you in your mirror, you'll know you're coming.
They all should. So yeah, we've had a pretty bad run, so we want to get a win, and that's what it's about now. Try and get wins and close the gaps on the other boys.
I guess the hard part is, mate, getting your car to work where in here is a real battle. Your car is working well, so good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, mate. Hi to Renee and Oliver and Austin at home, so Renee knows I'll be angry tonight, so she might get a call and give me some therapy, so we'll go again tomorrow.
Blame mum, mate, always a way.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks, mate.
I think there's plenty of loving for Frosty at the moment for taking that opportunity or having a crack at that opportunity. It was an all or nothing move, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you can be critical at all of the fact that he's had a go. In fact, I think everybody would have mounted a campaign against him had he not had a go at the end of it all.
Totally.
So they're the championship points, and they are corrected with Fabian Coulthard being moved back his 10-second penalty. Whincup leads the way. He'll be on the top step of this podium, Brett.
The 7th race of our year, the 2013 V8 Supercars ITM 400 Auckland. Would you please congratulate in first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In second place for Pepsi Max Crew FPR Ford, Will Davison. In third place for the Holden Racing Team, Garth Tander. And representing the winning team, Red Bull Racing Australia, Mark Dutton. Making the presentation of the third place trophy is Mark Callaghan, the Chief Executive Officer of Frucor Beverages. In second, or making the presentation of the trophy for second place, Brett O'Reilly, the Chief Executive Officer, Major Events, Auckland Tourism Events and Economic Development Limited. Making the presentation to our winning team is Darren Richardson, ITM Store Manager, from our naming rights sponsor, ITM. And presenting the first place trophy is Alan McCormick, ITM Store Owner, once again from our naming rights sponsor, ITM. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 ITM 400 Auckland Race 7 winners.
So that's the second time on the podium for this year for both Will Davison and Garth Tander, and the first victory of season 2013 for our defending series champ,